In this video, we're going to review composite functions. So the first part for composite function is to evaluate a single function. Here you have function f, and it equals 3x squared minus 5. So when you see f parenthesis something, it's just simply the same as y equals something. So here you have an equation, y equals 3x squared minus 5. And the first evaluation is when x equals 2. So we have done this before, right? When you see the number in the inside of the parentheses, it means x equals what? And before we did this on the graph, now we did it in the equation. Okay? So again, so the question is when x equals 2, y equals what? So you're going to replace x by 2 in the equation. So in the equation, x is here. You're going to replace it. It's gone. Okay? You're going to replace it by 2. So when you plug in the number, give it a parenthesis. So now the equation becomes 3 times parenthesis 2 squared minus 5. And based on the order of operation, which is PEMDAS, we're going to deal with square first, exponent first. So 2 squared is 4. And you bring down the rest you haven't touched, which is 3. So now it becomes 3 times 4 minus 5. Equals what? Yeah? And we're going to do the multiplication first. 3 times 4 is 12. And bring down whatever you haven't touched, which is minus 5. And finally calculate 12 minus 5 is positive 7. So when x equals 2, based on the equation, y equals 7. That's what it means. Okay, so you just need to replace the x in the equation by the number inside of the parentheses, and keep calculating, and that's it. You can put, if you know the operation of the order of operation is difficult for you, you can put everything here in a calculator, including the parentheses, and you still should get a 7. Okay. Now let's look at the second one. So we're still using this equation, y equals 3x squared minus 5. And this time is when x equals 0, y equals what? So you're going to replace x by 0 in the equation. So x is here, erase it, replace it, and put a 0 in the same place. So the equation becomes 3 times 0 squared minus 5 equals what? So we're going to deal with exponent first. So 0 squared equals 0. And bring down whatever you haven't touched. The 3 you haven't touched. So now it becomes 3 times 0 minus 5 equals what? And we're going to calculate the multiplication first. 3 times 0 is 0. And bring down the minus 5. So now the problem becomes 0 minus 5 equals what? It equals negative 5, and that's it. So when x equals 0, y equals negative 5. And that's it. Last one. So this time we have x equals negative 3. So replace x by negative 3. And give it a parenthesis. For the number you plug in, give it a parenthesis. Otherwise, you're going to make it wrong, especially when you have a negative number. Okay? And now we're going to calculate negative 3 squared. So put in your calculator parenthesis negative 3, then square. You should have positive 9. If you get negative 9, it's wrong. You need to give negative 3 a parenthesis. And bring down whatever you haven't touched. So it's 3 times 9 minus 5. And keep calculate. 3 times 9 is 27 minus 5 give you 22. And that's it. So when x equals negative 3, based on the equation, y equals 22. And that's it. So the question for you to do, so this time you have this equation, y equals this big equation, and this time you're gonna plug in x equals 3. So whenever you see x, replace it by 3. So here x is here, erase it and put a 3 in the same place. So the equation becomes 5 parentheses 3 minus 3 squared plus 2. And we're gonna do the calculation. We're gonna deal with the inside of the parentheses first. 3 minus 3 gives you 0. So the question becomes 5 times parentheses 0 squared plus 2 equals what? Okay. And we know 0 squared equals 0. So the question becomes 5 times 0 plus 2 equals what? And next we're going to do the multiplication. 5 times 0 is 0 plus 2 equals what? 0 plus 2 equals 2. So your answer is 2. Okay, so that's it about evaluate the function. So when you have an equation, replace the x inside of the equation by the number that you want to use and keep calculate the numbers, and you're going to have a result. Next, composite functions, and this time in the question you have numbers in. We're going to see what it means. First, let's look at the concept of composite function. Composite means you have two things and you put them together, right? So here we're gonna have two equations, and we're gonna put one equation into the other equation. So this means composite of the two equations. Put one equation into the other one. How are you going to write it? Okay? So here you can write it this way, f open circle g. Here you have two equations, equation f and equation g, and you put them together. And to represent it, you use an open circle into the between them. Okay? Or you can write it this way, f parenthesis g parenthesis a number in it or x in it. So let's look at an example. So if I have two equations, equation f is x plus 1, equation g is x minus 3. And the question is, first, what is f open circle g, f of g? So first, you're going to turn the open circle into the parenthesis form. So f open circle g means f parenthesis g. And this time, by looking at the parenthesis form, you'll see what? You'll see you put equation f in equation g, right? And we just said the thing inside of the parenthesis means you're going to replace x by it, right? So you're going to put equation g in equation f. It means you're going to replace the x in equation f by g, okay? So we're going to put equation g in equation f to the place of x. So x is gone, erase it, and you put equation g to the same place, which is x minus 3. So your new equation is parenthesis x minus 3 plus 1, which is this one. Okay? So you put equation g into equation f in the place of x. Okay. Let's look at the second one. The order matters here. So if we have g of f, what kind of equation we're going to have finally? So g of f, write it in the parenthesis form, is g parenthesis f. This time you'll see what? You'll see we are putting equation f in equation g. So equation f is here, it equals x plus 1. Put equation f into equation g in the place of x. So here, x is gone, you're going to replace it by the equation here for f, which is x plus 1. So you have the new equation, g of x equals x plus 1 minus 3. You see, we're putting equation f into equation G in the place of x. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Here you have two equations, f and g. Okay. We are not using this part. Okay. We're not using this part. We just use the equation part for, so 2x plus 1 represents equation f. X squared minus 2 represents equation g. Okay. So let's look at the first question. It is f of g and of a number inside. So let's not look at the number yet. So here for the latter part is putting equation g in equation f because g is inside of the parentheses, right? So let's do the first step. We're going to put equation g is here. We're going to put the real content of equation g into equation f to the place of x. Okay. So erase the x. It's gone. You're going to replace this big guy by, you're going to replace x by this big guy. So the equation becomes what? It becomes 2. Copy it down. And when you see x, erase it and put the replacement in, which is x squared minus 2. So we finish the second place, right? And then keep copy plus 1. So here you see we have 2 something plus 1, 2 something plus 1, but we change the x in equation g because the question asks you to put equation g in equation f. So put equation g in equation f to the place of x. Okay? And then we're going to deal with the 3. Okay? It means when you see x, replace it by 3. So let's copy the equation one more time. It equals 2 parentheses. When you see x, replace it by 3. So it's 3. And copy the rest. Next is square. Next is minus 2. Parentheses. Next is plus 1. And here, everything is number here. You can put this big number calculation in your calculator and get a result. If not, you can calculate it yourself. Do the exponent first. 3 squared is 9, so it's 9 minus 2, which is 7. So 2 times 7 is 14. 14 plus 1 is 15. So that's your answer. Now let's do the second one. Let me erase. Second one is going to change a little bit. Here we still have these two equations. Okay, but this time the order is changing. We have g of f, so we're going to put equation f in equation g this time. Equation f is here. We're going to put it into equation g in the place of x. So x is gone. You put that big guy in the place here. Okay, so let's rewrite the equation g. So it becomes, starting from the first one by one, rewrite it. When you see x, change it into the big circle for f here. So at the beginning you see x, so erase it. Put 2x plus 1. When you plug something in, give it a parenthesis. And keep copy. Next one is square. It's not x, so just copy it. Next one is minus 2. So you see in the equation g, I only change x, the place of x, to the equation f. Okay? And you finish the composite part. Finally, we're going to deal with the number part. So number means you're going to replace the x in your equation by 3. So let's get one more step. So it equals, copy everything, but when you see x, change it into 3. Okay? So parenthesis 2. Next is 2 times x, right? So now it becomes 2 times 3. And keep copy the rest. Plus 1 square minus 2. And you can calculate it in the calculator, but here let's calculate it ourselves. So inside of the parentheses, multiply them first. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 squared is 49. 49 minus 2 is 47. And that's it. Okay? So that's it. F of g of a number in it. Okay. So first you're gonna do the composite part. Put the equation g in equation f. So put the equation g in equation f to the place of x. And after the composite part, you can start dealing with the number inside. So the number means when you see x, replace it by the number. And finally, you're gonna have a number as a result. Okay. Next one, let's practice one more. So here, equation f. You don't need to look at it, but you need to know negative 9x minus 9 is representing f. But you can erase it to not let it confusing you. Equation g is this square root of x minus 9. Okay? So our first question is f of g of 10. Okay? So first you're going to turn it into the parenthesis form. So it's f of g. Turn it into parentheses so we know who is inside who. You can make it more clear. Okay? So this time you see we're going to put equation g in equation f. Now look for these two equations. Equation g is here. You're going to put this big guy into equation f to the place of x. So replace x, erase it, and put the big guy inside here. And let's rewrite your equation. You're gonna put something in this equation, right? So you're gonna rewrite this equation. So it is start from the beginning, rewrite it. If you see x, change it. If you don't see x, don't change it. So from the beginning is negative 9, copy it down. Next is x, we're gonna replace it by the big guy here, which is square root x minus 9. So we finish replacing it. Okay? And keep copy minus 9 on the back. So we finish replacement, we finish the composite part. Finally, you see the number here, so we're going to replace x by the number. So it is copy from the beginning, negative 9, parenthesis, square root, and then I see the x, so I'm going to replace it by 10. And keep copy, minus 9, parenthesis, minus 9. And calculate everything here. And inside, square root 10 minus 9 is 1. So square root 1 equals 1. Negative 9 times 1 is negative 9. Negative 9 minus 9 is negative 18. And that's your final answer. Okay? You can put all of this part in the calculator and it will give you the same result. Okay. Now let's look at the second one. The second composite is what? It's f of negative 2. So no matter what you see, turn it into the parenthesis form first so we can see who goes into who more clear. So it's f parenthesis negative 2. So this time you'll see what? You see we don't have any relationship with g. It's just to put the equation f into equation f again. So how do we do it? Let's erase the arrows here. we're going to put equation f into itself. So we're going to put this big circle into what? Into itself, to the place of x. Okay? So we're going to copy it from the beginning, -9. And when you see x, replace it and put a big circle in, which is -9x minus 9. And keep copy, -9. We finish replacing the x, right? And next is -9. So we finish the composite part. So you see, it's -9 something minus 9, which is the same as equation f, -9 something minus 9, but the something here, you replace it. You plug in equation f again, which is -9x minus 9. Okay, so it's just like put one thing inside of another thing. And now we can deal with the number part. This time inside the number is -2, so you're going to replace x by -2. And rewrite your equation is -9, parenthesis -9. When you see x, replace it by -2. Before it's -9 times x, now it's -9 times -2. Give it a parenthesis and keep copy -9, parenthesis -9. You can put everything here in the calculator and you're gonna have a result. Let's calculate it here. Inside of the parentheses, do the multiplication first. -9 times -2 is +18. +18 minus 9 is +9. And then -9 times 9 is -81. -81 minus 9 is -90. And that's it. Okay, so let's try one problem, some more examples. So here you have equation f, equation g. Don't look at them to confuse you with the x in it. Okay? And the question is, put g into f. So put equation g into equation f to the place of x. So x is gone, put a big circle in. Because you put it into this equation, so we're going to rewrite this equation, which is 3. Copy it down. When you see x, replace it by the circle, which is x squared. And keep copy -5. Okay. So we finish the composite part. You put equation g into equation f. So before it is 3x minus 5, 3x minus 5, but now instead of x here, you put equation g here, which is x squared. Okay? And now we're going to deal with the number part. So x equals -2. So you're going to replace x by -2. Let's put it this way. So it's 3. When you see x, replace it by -2 and keep copy. Then it's square, parenthesis -5. So everything is number here. You can put this in the calculator. So do the exponent first. Oh, by the way, when we plug in the number, give it a parenthesis. You have to. Okay? So -2 squared is +4. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. And that's it. Okay. Next one. So here you have equation f. We have equation f, equation g. Yeah. And the question is, put equation g in equation f. So put equation g in equation f. We have done this one, right? Next one. So we have equation F, equation G. We're gonna rewrite the question into F of G of 12. Write it in the parentheses form so you know who going to who. Okay? So you see we have equation F, equation G, go to equation F again. So equation G is here, put it into equation F to the place of X. Then you're gonna rewrite this equation. Okay? So rewrite it from the beginning, which is -4. And when you see X, replace it by the big parenthesis here for equation G, which is square root x minus 8 parenthesis. So we finish replacing x, then keep copy plus 2. And that's it. Yeah. And that's it for the composite part. Finally, you're going to deal with the number part. So it's 12. So you're going to replace x by 12. So one more step, -4 parenthesis square root. When you see x, replace it by 12 and keep copy. -8 parenthesis plus 2. It equals, calculate this from the inside of the square root. 12 minus 8 is 4, square root of 4 is 2. So -4 times 2 is -8. -8 plus 2 is -6. And that's it. For this calculation part, you can use your calculator. Okay. Next example. So here we have the two equations, f and g. And the question is, put equation f into equation g. So equation f is here. We're going to put it into equation g to the place of n. Okay? Because we put it into this equation, so we're going to rewrite this equation from the beginning. Okay? At the beginning is n, so we're going to erase it and put a circle in. So it is n squared minus n. And keep copy. You replaced it, and then next is plus 1. Okay. And we finished the composite part. Now you're going to deal with the number part. The number is 8. So when you see n, when you see the variable, it can be n, it can be x, it can be whatever letter. Okay? I'm going to replace n by 8 whenever you see the n. Okay? So at the beginning, you see the n, so you're going to replace it by 8 and keep copy. Next is square. If it's a positive number, you don't have to give it parentheses, it doesn't matter. But if it's negative, you have to give it parentheses when you plug in the number. Okay? And next is minus sign. And next is n. So when we see n, we're going to replace it by the number 8. And close parenthesis plus 1. So now everything is number, you can calculate it. So 8 squared is 64. 64 minus 8 is 56. 56 plus 1 is 57. And that's it. Okay, so whenever you see x, replace it by the number. Next one. So here we have equation f and g. And let's turn the question into the parenthesis form, or actually we can see it here. We're going to put f into equation g. So equation f is here. You're going to put it into equation g to the place of x. Okay? So because we put it into this equation, we're going to rewrite this equation from the beginning. Okay? So from the beginning is x. We're going to erase it and put this big guy in, which is x squared minus 2. And keep copy. Next is plus 1. And now we finished the composite part. Now you're going to do the number part. So for the number part, you're going to plug 3 into the place of x. So it becomes first you see x, replace it by 3, and keep copy square minus 2 plus 1. So here you only see 1x, so you only replace 1x by 3. And the rest you can calculate. 3 squared is 9, 9 minus 2 is 7, 7 plus 1 is 8. And that's it. One more question. Equation F, equation G, and the question is put G into F. So equation G is here, put it into equation F to the place of x. Because we put it into this equation, we're going to rewrite this equation. From the beginning, it is 2, copy it down. Next is x. When we see x, we replace it by the big guy there. So we're going to plug in equation G here. And keep copy. After x, you have nothing. So we finish the composite part. Now we're going to deal with the number part. The number is -2. So when we see x, replace it by -2. Otherwise, copy the rest. So copy the 2 parentheses. When we see x, replace by -2. And I told you when we plug in negative number, you have to give it a parenthesis. Otherwise, it's easy to get it wrong. Okay? And keep copy square plus 1. And now put everything in the calculator, including the parentheses. Okay? So here, -2 squared is +4. 4 plus 1 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. And that's it. Okay, so this is a composite functions. And finally, when you have a number inside of the parentheses, you are going to replace the composite x by the number. And the result is a number. Okay? And finally, let's look at the composite functions again, but without number inside of the most inside parentheses. Okay? So what we're going to do this time, first step, the composite part is the same. Okay? So here we plug G in F. So equation G is here, you're going to plug it into equation F. So rewrite this equation. From the beginning, it is 2. And next you see x, replace it by the big circle here, which is x squared minus 2, close parenthesis, and keep copy. Next is plus 1. So finish copy it. So we finished the composite part, right? And before we have a number inside, so we're going to replace the x by the number. But this time we will only have x, we don't have any number. So it means what? It means that's it. But you're going to simplify your answer until you have nothing you can do. So how are you going to simplify it? Simply, whenever you see parentheses, get rid of it. You cannot have parentheses in your answer. So get rid of the parentheses. How? We're going to do the distribution. We're going to multiply 2 to everybody inside to get rid of the parentheses. So 2 times x squared, number part is 2. X part is x squared. Second arrow, 2 times -2. Okay? The second guy is a negative number. So 2 times -2 is -4. So we got rid of the parentheses, okay? And then you have a plus 1 on the back you haven't touched, bring it down. So we don't have any parentheses. Finally, check for like terms. Okay? X squared, nothing you can do with it, it's a single guy, copy it down. And it's gone. And on the back you have 2 numbers. They're the same kind, you can combine them. -4 plus 1 is -3. And that's it. Okay, so here you see what? You see your result is not a number because inside of the parentheses you don't have a number to calculate. So your result is the simplest form of this composite equation by getting rid of the parentheses and combining like terms. Okay, now let's look at the second one. So this time is putting equation f in equation g. Equation f is here. Put it in equation g to the place of x. Okay? So we're going to rewrite this equation this time. From the beginning is x. So you're going to replace it by this big circle here. And keep copy. Next is square. Don't lose it. And then minus 2. And now you're going to simplify your answer by getting rid of the parentheses. And when we learned it before, square means double it. You're going to double the parentheses. So we have double the parentheses. And then copy the minus 2. So this step will get rid of the square. And then keep doing the multiplication by getting rid of the parentheses by doing what? By doing the FOIL or distribution again. So you're going to multiply 2x to everybody in the back. And then you're going to multiply 1 to everybody in the back. We're going to do 4 multiplications. Let's do the first arrow. It's 2x times 2x. Number part, 2 times 2 is 4. X part, x times x is x squared. Second arrow, 2x times 1. Number part, 2 times 1 is positive 2. X part, you only have 1x, nothing you can do, copy it down. Next arrow, 1 times 2x. Number part, 1 times 2 is positive 2. X part is only x. Last arrow, 1 times 1 is positive 1. So we finish the 4 multiplications. Okay? And then on the back, you have a single guy you haven't touched. Copy it down, which is minus 2. Finally, combine like terms. X squared, you don't see any other x squares on the back, so this is a single guy. Copy it down. And it's gone. Okay? X, X, they have the same x, so they're like terms. Combine them by add up the number in the front. 2 plus 2 give you positive 4. And bring down the like term part, which is x. After combining them, they're gone. And single number, you can combine them by add them up. So 1 plus negative 2 is negative 1. And that's it. Okay. So here the first step is to composite one equation into another equation like what we did before, but finally you're going to simplify your answer by getting rid of the parentheses, and the most part you're going to do the distribution property for the basic multiplications, number times number, x times x, and finally combine like terms. Okay. It's multiple steps, but each step is a concept that we can learn. Okay. Next example. So here we have two equations, f and g, and we're going to put equation f in equation g. So equation f is here, equation g is here. You're going to put f into the place of x in equation g. So we put it in this equation, so we're going to rewrite this equation from the beginning. So from the beginning is x, so we're going to replace it by the big circle. And keep looking at this equation. Next place is 2, is square. We're not going to replace it. We're going to copy it down. And keep looking on the back. Nothing is on the back. So we finish the composite. We put this big circle into the place of x. So it becomes the big circle square, and the big circle is 3x minus 5 square. Okay? And now we're going to simplify by getting rid of the parentheses. But first, deal with the square. Square means we're going to double it. So now we have two parentheses times each other. And to keep getting rid of the parentheses, we're going to do the distribution. We're going to use 3x times 3x, and then 3x times the second guy in the parentheses, which is negative 5. Okay? And then we're going to use the second guy in the first parentheses, which is negative 5 times 3x, and then negative 5. So let's do the multiplication one by one. First arrow is 3x times 3x. Number part, 3 times 3 is 9. X part, x times x is x squared. Second arrow, 3x times negative 5. Number part, 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. X part, you only have one x here, nothing there, so only one x. Next arrow, negative 5 times 3x. Number part, negative 5 times 3, negative 15. X part, you only have one x, nothing there. Finally, negative 5 times negative 5, negative 25. Okay. And next, combine like terms. 9x squared, no other x squares on the back, so this is a single guy. Copy it down. And it's gone. And next one is x and x. They're like terms. Add up the number in the front, but be careful, the numbers are negative 15 and negative 15. Add them up. It's negative 30. X. And finally, you have, after combining them, they're gone. Okay? Finally, you have a single number, nothing you can do. So copy it down. And that's it. Okay. Next one. So here we're going to put equation f in equation g. Equation f is here, equation g is here. So we're going to rewrite this equation from the beginning is n. So you're going to replace it by the big circle, which is n squared minus n. And keep copying. Next is plus 1. Copy it down. And now we're going to get rid of the parentheses. And some of you tell me I'm going to double the parentheses. No. If you have a square outside, you're going to double it. If you have it inside, you just need to do the distribution by multiply the number in the front. And here we don't see any number in the front. It means what? It means we have imaginary 1 times it. We're going to use 1 times everybody inside. And we know 1 times whatever is whatever themselves. So you can just take off the parentheses here. So 1 times n squared is n squared. 1 times negative n is negative n. So we get rid of the parentheses, and finally bring down whatever you haven't touched, plus 1. Okay. And combine like terms, x squared, nothing you can do, n, nothing you can do, not single number, nothing you can do. So that's your answer. Okay. Last one. We put equation g in equation f. Equation g is here. Put it into equation f to the place of x and rewrite it from the beginning. At the beginning, you have x. So replace the x by the big circle here. And keep copy. Next place is square. Next is minus 2. So I have this equation. This time you see the square is outside of the parentheses. So to get rid of the square, we're going to double the parentheses. and this x plus 1 inside, and minus 2 on the back. Okay? And then keep getting rid of the parentheses by multiplication 4 times. X times x, x squared, x times 1, positive 1x, 1 times x, positive 1x, 1 times 1, positive 1. And bring down the minus 2 on the back. And finally, combine like terms. X squared, nothing you can do, copy it down, and it's gone. So I accidentally deleted the answer, so we were at x squared plus x plus 1x plus 1 minus 2. And combine like terms. X squared, copy it down, and it's gone. X and x, add them up, so it's positive 2x, and they're gone. Finally, you have two single numbers, add them up. 1 plus negative 2 is negative 1. And that's it. Okay? So composite equation, the concept is put one equation inside of the other equation in the place of x. Okay?